Islam, peace and love. It's another Sunday school. This is brother Nun Nagi. Let's go on ahead and get into it. Stand, rise, face the east. Be at a 45-degree angle. So you can repeat after me. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Juali. Ameen. Alright, Ameen. So, let's go and get into it. Quran questions for Moorish children. Number 1, who made you? Allah. Number 2, who is Allah? Allah is the Father of the universe. Number 3, can we see him? No. 4, where is the nearest place we can meet him? In the heart. 5, who is Noble Juali? Answer, he is Allah's prophet. 6, what is a prophet? Answer, he is a thought of Allah manifest in flesh. 7, what is the duty of a prophet? 7, to save nations from the wrath of Allah. 8, who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America? Noble Juali. 9, what year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? 1913 AD. 10, where? Answer, Newark, New Jersey. 11, where was Noble Juali born? Answer, in the state of North Carolina, 1886. 12, what is his nationality? Answer, Moorish American. 13, what is your nationality? Moorish American. 14, why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America. 15, for what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? Answer, for the uplifting of fallen humanity. Alright, page 2. 16, how did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish Americans? Answer, by teaching them to be themselves. Alright. 17, what is our religion? Islamism. 18, is that a new or is that the old time religion? Old time religion. Right? It's the old time religion. 19, what kind of flag is the Moorish? Right? The Moorish flag is a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center. 20, what do the 5 points represent? The 5 points of the Moorish flag represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. 21, how old is our flag? It is over 10,000 years old. Right? 22, which is our holy day? Right? Our holy day is Friday. Right? For those who don't know. 23, why? Right? Because Friday is the day on which man was formed in flesh, and it was on Friday when he departed out of flesh. 24, who was Jesus? He was a prophet of Allah. 25, where was he born? In Bethlehem of Judah, in the house of David. 26, who were his father and mother? Joseph and Mary. 27, will you give in brief the line genealogy through which Jesus came? Right? Answer, some of the great fathers through which Jesus came are Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. Right? 28, why did Allah send Jesus to this earth? Answer, to save the Israelites from the iron hand oppression of the pale-skinned nations of Europe who were governing a portion of Palestine at that time. 29, how long has that been? Answer, about 2,000 years ago. 30, what was the nationality of Ruth? Ruth was a Moabitess. 31, what is the modern name for the Moabites? Moroccans. Where is the Moroccan Empire? Northwest Amexem. What is the modern name for Amexem? Answer, Africa. 34, what is the title given to our ruler in Morocco? Answer, Sultan. 35, where do we get the name Jesus? We get it from the east. All right. 36, what does the name Jesus mean? Answer, Jesus means justice. 37, did the angel give to the child that was called Jesus a holy name? Yes, but it cannot be used by those who are slaves to sin. 38, what is an angel? Answer, an angel is a thought of Allah manifested in human flesh. 39, what are angels used for? Answer, to carry messages to the four corners of the world to all nations. 40. What is our prophet to us? He is an angel of Allah who is sent to bring us the everlasting gospel of Allah. 41. What is the everlasting gospel? Answer, it is a saving power that comes from Allah through our ancient fathers by his prophet. 42. What is the covenant of the great God Allah? Answer, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earthland, which thy Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. 43. At what age did Jesus begin to teach? Answer, at the age of 12. 44. Where did he teach? He taught in India, Africa, and Europe. 45. How long did he teach? Jesus taught for 18 years. 46. What did Jesus say that would make you free? Answer, truth. 47. What is truth? Answer, truth is ought. 48. What is Allah? What is ought? Pardon me. Ought is Allah. 49. Can truth change? Answer, truth cannot change or pass away. 50. What other name do we give to truth? Answer, holy breath. 51. What have you to say about the holy breath? Answer, all we can say is, it is great, it is good, it was, it is, and evermore to be. Ameen. 52. At what place on earth was the physical part of man formed? Answer, in the Garden of Eden. 53. Where is the Garden of Eden? Answer, in the land of Canaan, in the city of Mecca. 54. What is the modern name for the Garden of Eden? Answer, Mecca. 55. What is the name of the first physical man? Answer, his name cannot be used only by executive rulers of the AC of the MST of A. 56. What are the words AC of the MST of A? Answer, Adept Chamber of the Moorish Sign Symbol of America. Third heaven. 57. Who were Adam and Eve? They are the mothers and fathers of the human family, Asiatics and Muslims. 58. Where did they go? Answer, they went into Asia. 59. What is the modern name given to the children, to their children? Right? Answer, Asiatics. 60. Who is guarding the holy city of Mecca today to keep the unbelievers away? Answer, angels. 61. What is the modern name for those angels? Answer, Asiatics. 62. What is the shade of their skin? Answer, olive. 63. Are the Moorish Americans any relation to those angels? Answer, yes. We all have the same father and mother. 64. Give 5 names that are given to the descendants of Adam and Eve. Answer, Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast. 65. What is the devil sometimes called? Answer, the lower self. 66. How many selves are there? Answer, 2. 67. Name them. Higher self and lower self. 68. What people represent the higher self? Answer, the angels who protect the holy city of Mecca. 69. What people represent the lower self? Those who were cast out of the holy city and those who accept their teaching. 70. What is the higher self? The higher self is the mother of the virtues and the harmonies of life, and breeds justice, mercy, love, and right. 71. Can the higher self pass away? Answer, no. 72. Why? Answer, because it, being the higher self, is Allah in man. 73. What does the lower self breed? Answer, hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harms. Right? Moving on, page 5. Number 74. What did the higher self say to the lower self at one time when he met him? Answer, where are you going, Satan? 75. What was the answer that the lower self gave to the higher self? Answer, I am going to and fro the earth seeking whom I may devour. 76. Has he finished his task of devouring? Yes. 77. When was his time declared out? When he nailed Jesus on the cross. 78. What are the last words Jesus uttered? Answer, it is finished. 79. What did he have reference to? Answer, he had a reference to the end of Satan. Right? 80. Did Jesus say that he would return to conquer him? Answer, yes. 81. What is the name of the person into whom Jesus was first reincarnated? Answer, Prophet Muhammad the Conqueror. 82. Was Satan to be bound then? Answer: Satan was to be bound in part. 83. When was the head of Satan taken off? Answer: 1453 Byzantine. 84. By whom? Answer: by Muhammad. 85. Name some of the marks that were put upon the Moors of Northwest by the European nations in 1774. Answer: Negro, black, colored, and Ethiopian. 86. What is meant by the word Negro? Right? Negro is a name given to a river in West Africa by the Moors because it contains black water. 87. What is meant by the word black? Answer: black according to science means death. 88. What does the word colored mean? Answer: colored means anything that has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. 89. What does Ethiopia mean? Answer: Ethiopia means something divided. 90. Can a man be a Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian? Answer: no. Alright. 91. Why? Answer: because man is made in the image and after the likeness of God Allah. 92. What title does Satan give himself? Answer: God. 93. Will you define the word white? Answer: white means purity, purity means God, and God means the ruler of the land. 94. To whom do we refer to at times as being the great God? Answer: Allah. 95. Is the devil made in the image and likeness of Allah? Answer: no. He is the shadow of our lower selves and will pass away. Right? 96. Who made the devil? Answer: Elohim. 97. Who is Elohim? Answer: Elohim is the 7 creative spirits that created everything that ever was, is, or ever more to be. 98. What is Elohim sometimes called? The 7 eyes of Allah. 99. How many days are in a circle? 7 days. 100. How many days are in a creation? 7 days. 101. According to science, how many days are in a year? 7 days. Islam. And please recognize that a thorough understanding of this, of these religious tenets does represent unity. All right, just keep that in mind. So next, we're gonna get into the divine constitution and bylaws. All right, of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Islam. Now, Act 1, the Grand Sheikh and the chairman, of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science is in power to make law and enforce the laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. The assistant Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the members of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Act 2. All meetings are to be opened and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holy day of rest because on a Friday the first man was formed in flesh, and on a Friday the first man departed out of flesh and ascended unto his Father God Allah. For that cause is a holy day for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. No member is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed. that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national names to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Then you are entitled to the name of quote-unquote faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from your holy prophet, Noble Jew Ali, through the guiding of his father God, Allah. Islam. And let me just jump right into the additional laws, right? And this is in the questionnaire, of course. The questionnaire and additional laws for the Moorish Americans by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. Act 1. Grand sheiks and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple must be approved by the Prophet Noble Jew Ali before acting upon by any members, let it be finance, property, or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice finance, etc., that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former officer that violates these laws is subject to be removed from his office under a heavy restriction, etc., by the Prophet or the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend their add-up meetings and their public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on their meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second he will be fined $1, which will go on your emergency fund. If a member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the uplifting fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is the lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able in finance, to aid me in saving the nation, and if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, as I have the power invested in my hands, and I will have to enforce the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while up making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, because we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meetings and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must confirm himself to the questionnaire. And let every member exercise his 5 senses who is able to do so, because out from your Sunday school comes the guiders of the nation. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Jew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Members must pay their dues, or the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all necessities of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, Moorish Science Temple of America. Then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant, is from your holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, through the guidance of his father, God, Allah. Islam. Let's take a pause for the calls real quick. Islam. So let's go on and get into it. Forced to make changes. All governors and other officers of the Moorish Science Temple of America are hereby congratulated for their past loyalty and fidelity, for I know it will be the same in the future. Because of certain incidents that have risen in some of the temples, which seem to come from some acts shown that there are those who do not know that where the seat of power is vested. The Prophet has ordered the following to be published. All authority and power of the Moorish Science Temple of America is vested in the Prophet Noble Drew Ali and those whom he appoints to act as the supreme body. The Prophet has the authority and power to expel any officer or member of the Moorish Science Temple of America who willfully violates or refuses to comply with the rules in regard to branch Moorish Science temples. And such suspensions and expulsions shall stand until in the judgment of the Prophet, and the members and officers shall have made satisfactory atonement. All officers and members of the Moorish Science Temple of America and any such rules and regulations of the Constitution shall be in writing and not at variance with any law of the city, town, or nation which the Prophet shall declare a law. During this session of the convention, all rules, regulations, and laws of the Constitution and such as might be enacted and ordered by the Prophet shall express and explain in detail, so there can be no doubt as to what is required of each and every officer or member of the organization. The Prophet will positively not tolerate any interference with the operation of the National Divine Movement from anyone. By the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. All right. And coming from the Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 25, Holy Covenant for the Asiatic nation, of the Asiatic nation. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all, in your love to each other. Islam. So, I say all that to say, we've had a lot of changes. We've had a lot of things going on. Again, I'm Brother Nun Nagi. Welcome if you're just joining us. Welcome back if you've been rocking with us, and it's been a minute. And been a lot of changes. Like the Prophet said, forced to make changes, and we all have been and will continue to be forced to make changes because, as some of you may know already, or may already realize, there's a lot of things going on in the world, in the financial world, in the business world, things of that such. We're in a full-blown, I think when last time I talked to you, it was kind of just getting started, but now it's kind of official. It's not even a question. We're in a full-blown trade war and Cold War, as it seems, with China, or kind of. You got Hong Kong and the Manchurians, in rebellion. There's a lot of, bad actors on either end doing different things. But, we're not really going to get into that today. But there's a lot of uprising all over the world. You got, the Catalonians in Spain, fighting for their independence and going in. You've got the Yellow Vest movement going on in France, with the Franks. That's been going strong since the summer, really. And we're in the hunt for Red October right now, as they say. And word on the street is the troops have been mobilized and Trump has called up, all of these old Marines, and they're making some shifts and some changes. So like I said, it's a lot of things going on. This is coming out of Rex 84, King Alfred Plan, Executive Order 11490. All right. Page 357 from, the expunged records, and it reads, and I quote, starting about the middle of the page, note, at the appropriate time to be designated by the president, the leaders of some of these organizations named above are to be detained only when it is clear that they cannot prevent the emergency. Working with local public officials during the first critical hours, all other leaders are to be detained at once. Compiled lists of minority leaders have been readied at the National Data Computer Center. It is necessary to use the minority leaders designated by the president in much the same manner in which we use minority members who are agents with central and federal. All right? They're not talking about Kentucky Fried Chicken, people. And we cannot, until there is no alternative, reveal King Alfred in all its aspects. All right? Minority members of Congress will be unseated at once. This move is not without precedent in American history. Attorney General. Preliminary memo, Department of Defense. This memo is being submitted in lieu of a full report from the Joint Chiefs of Staff. That report is now in preparation. There will be many cities where the minority will be able to put into the street a superior number of people with a desperate and dangerous will. He will be a formidable enemy, for he is bound to the continent by heritage and knows that political asylum will not be available to him in other countries. The greatest concentration of the minority is in the Deep South, the Eastern Seaboard, the Great Lakes region, and the West Coast. All right? And it goes on to give more information on the detailed plans, right? Which we really won't get into that today. I really don't want to, waste too much time. Because like I said, I don't know how much time we got on the tape, actually. Yeah, we don't have enough time for that. Because I got too much ground to cover today. Party people. So, yeah, we gotta make sure we hit some things. So, when we talk about, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, right, and we talk about the Supremacy Clause, right, I'm gonna read it real quick, and then I'm gonna read some case law and some information on, backing up the Supremacy Clause from the courts, right. So, Article 6. This is the United States Constitution for the United States of America, right? Legislated, enacted, adopted from Muslim law at Philadelphia, 1787, right? At the Philadelphia House. Now, Article 6 states, quote, all debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers both of the United States and of the several states shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution, but no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States, right? And just for the sake of conversation, let me back up to Article 3, right, sections 1 and 2, just for point, and just for the record. Article 3 states, quote, Section 1, the judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges both of the Supreme and inferior courts shall hold their offices during good behavior and shall at stated times receive their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. Section 2, the judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made, or which shall be made, under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversy between two or more states, between a state and other citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, pardon me for not giving all the punctuation, but for the sake of time, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between the state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. All right. It continues, in all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, and those in which a state shall be party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. All right. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crime shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, the trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. All right. All right. Now, let's see. Article 4, Section 4, right, of the Constitution for the United States Republic states, quote, the United States shall guarantee to every state in the Union a republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislature cannot be convened against domestic violence. Right? So what are we really talking about here, right? What are we talking about when the prophet says we're part and parcel of this said government? When Nun Nagi is reading Article 6, right? We're talking about treaties, right? And, if you've got the identification that we offer on the site, fedsprovinceregency.org, you may notice the AA222141. What does that mean? Well, it means a couple of things. One, it's associated with the work done by Brother C.M. Bay and the Clock of Destiny family. And that is on record with the Library of Congress, right? But it also is associated with and can be linked to Title 22 of the United States Code of a General Permanent Character. Foreign relation. Title 22 relates to foreign relations and intercourse, for those who don't know. Chapter 2 specifically deals with consular courts, which is a topic that's been ongoing. We've been talking about it for a while here. But, we really, we still don't seem to get it. So if you're looking for more information, definitely check out Feds Province, Regency.org. Check out our Consular Court Juror Questionnaire. Make sure you read the preamble before you start on it. Read the preamble. If you don't already, make sure you get, the study materials that'll help you along. It'll make it a whole lot easier, I promise. But getting right into it, Section 141, pardon me, judicial authority generally, right? To carry into full effect the provisions of the treaties of the United States with certain foreign countries. So right here, this section is long. So we're reading Title 22, Chapter 2, Section 141, judicial authority generally, right? It states, quote, to carry into full effect the provisions of the treaties of the United States with certain foreign countries, the ministers and consuls of the United States in China, Siam, Turkey, Morocco, Muscat, Abyssinia, Persia, and the territories formerly a part of the former Ottoman Empire, including Egypt, right? And I'll stop there. And you can read 142 and 143 for yourself, but let's look at this word provisions, right? Now, looking at Black's Law Dictionary, page 1388, we see the word provide, right, which is just a root word dealing with provision. Provide means to make, procure, or furnish for future use, comma, prepare, right? Then it says to supply, to afford, to contribute. All right. Now jumping down here, it says provided by law, right? So the term or phrase provided by law says this phrase, when used in the Constitution or statute, generally means prescribed or provided by some statute, right? Now on page 1389, right, we see here it says provision. It says foresight of the chance of an event happening, comma, sufficient to indicate that any present undertaking upon which its assumed realization might exert a natural and proper influence was entered upon in full contemplation of it as a future possibility, right? In commercial law, this phrase provision would mean funds remitted by the drawer of a bill of exchange to the drawee in order to make the bill or property remaining in the drawee's hands or due from him to the drawer and appropriated to that purpose, right? In ecclesiastical law, provision means a nomination by the Pope to an English benefice before it became void. The term was afterwards indiscriminately applied to any right of patronage exerted or usurped by the Pope, right? In French law, it means an allowance or alimony granted by a judge to one of the parties in a cause for his or her maintenance until a definite judgment is rendered, right? In English history, provision means a name given to certain statutes or acts of parliament, particularly those intended to curb the arbitrary or usurped power of the sovereign, and also to certain other ordinances or declarations having the force of law. See infra, right? Below it says a term used in the reign of King Henry III to designate enactments of the king in council, perhaps less solemn than statutes. The term statutes was a later term with a changed conception of the solemnity of a statute, and is one that cannot easily be defined. It came into use in Edward I's reign, supplanting quote-unquote provisions, which is characteristic of Henry III's reign, which had supplanted assize, quote-unquote, characteristic of the reigns of Henry II, Richard, and John Maitland, right? Now this is interesting. Let me read on here. Provisions of Meteron, another name for the statute of Mettern, right? And you got to see the statute of Mettern. But then it says provisions of Oxford. Now listen to this. Legislative provisions, 1258, forbidding the chancellor to issue writs other than those, quote, of course, close quote, without the approval of the executive council as well as the king. certain provisions made in the Parliament of Oxford 1258 for the purpose of securing the execution of the provisions of, quote, Magna Charta against the invasions thereof in Henry III. The government of the country was in effect committed by these provisions to a standing committee of 24 whose chief merit consisted in their representative character and their real desire to effect improvement in the king's government. All right. Then you have provisions of Westminster, a name given to certain ordinances or declarations promulgated by the barons in AD 1259 for the reform of various abuses. Then you have provisional, right? Temporary, preliminary, tentative, taken or done by way of precaution or ad interim, right? And for all those who don't know, we are clearly dealing with the interregnum government or interregnum orders, right? And let me get into that for you guys, because this is gonna be a good review for a lot of people. But let me just take a break, y'all. So don't have much time left. My battery's dying, so we gotta start wrapping this up. But I just wanted to hit this last definition, and we're gonna talk interregnum, an interval between reigns, the period which elapses between the death of a sovereign and the election of another, the vacancy which occurs when there is no government. Right. So it's with that thought in mind that we reiterate the fact that we're dealing with the Romanus Pontifex, right? And we really need to make sure that we really understand, what that means and what it's talking about. All right, so real quick, just for review, Article 6, Section 2 of the Constitution is known as the Supremacy Clause because it provides that quote, the Constitution and the laws of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, close quote. It means that the federal government, in exercising any of the powers enumerated in the Constitution, must prevail over any conflicting or inconsistent state of exercise power. All right. Now, the concept of federal supremacy was developed by Chief Justice Marshall, who led the Supreme Court from 1801 to 1835. In McCulloch v. Maryland, 1819, the court invalidated a Maryland law that taxed all banks in the state, including a branch of the National Bank located at Baltimore. Marshall held that although none of the enumerated powers of Congress explicitly authorized the incorporation of the National Bank, the Necessary and Proper Clause provided the basis for Congress's action. Having established that the exercise of authority was proper, Marshall concluded, quote, the government of the Union, though limited in its power, is within the sphere of its action, close quote. After the Civil War, the Supreme Court was more supportive of states' rights and used the 10th Amendment, which provides that the powers not delegated to the federal government are reserved to the states or the people to justify its position. It was not until the 1930s, however, that the court shifted its position and invoked the Supremacy Clause to give the federal government broad national power. The federal government cannot involuntarily be subjected to the laws of any state. The Supremacy Clause also requires state legislatures to take into account policies adopted by the federal government. Two issues arise when state action is in apparent conflict with federal law. The first is whether the congressional action falls within the powers granted to Congress. If Congress exceeded its authority, the congressional act is invalid, and despite the Supremacy Clause, has no priority over state action. The second issue is whether Congress intended its policy to supersede state policy. Congress often acts without intent to preempt state policy making or with an intent to preempt state policy on a limited set of issues. Congress may intend state and federal policies to coexist. Some federal legislation preempts state law, however, usually because Congress believes its law should be supreme for reasons of national uniformity. For example, the National Labor Relations Act of 1935, known as the Wagner Act, or 29 USCA subsection 151, preempts most state law dealing with labor unions and labor management relations. All right. And a lot of y'all might want to take note of that, who having issues on the job, things of that sort. Check it out. In Pennsylvania v. Nelson, 1956, the Supreme Court developed criteria for assessing whether federal law preempts state action when Congress has not specifically stated its intent. These criteria include whether the scheme of federal regulations is, quote, so pervasive as to make the interference that Congress left no room for the states to supplement it, close quote, whether the federal interest, quote, is so dominant that the federal system must be assumed to preclude enforcement of the state laws on the same subject, quote, or whether the enforcement of a state law presents a serious danger of conflict with the administration of the federal program. All right. Then they've got some other suggested readings, which I think you guys may be interested in. Let me get this little thing off here. The Supremacy Clause as a constraint on federal power. George Washington Law Review, 71, February. That's a 2003 by Bradford Clark. Then we got one by Robert Clinton, 2002. Quote, there is no federal supremacy clause for Indian tribes. Arizona State Law Journal, Spring. Then we got one by Seth Waxman and Trevor W. Morrison, 2013. What kind of immunity? Federal officer, state, criminal law, and supremacy clause. Yale Law Journal, 112 June. Right? So that's just some stuff on the supremacy clause. You guys can always do more research, but I just wanted to get that and read that into the record. Because we just got to have some conversation, people. We got to talk about some things, man. So I read all of that to say, for review, these are some of the things we should already have down, or already be familiar with, right? These are some of the topics that we've been talking about for, a while now. And like I said before, if you haven't already, make sure you go to FedesProvinceRegency.org, download the Consular Court Jury Questionnaire, start working on that. If you haven't, get the study materials. Also, if you have not, make sure you get your name and judicial proclamation done so you can get nationalized. And I'm so serious because we really, really, really are going to be making some moves here. We really need you guys to get your paperwork done so that we can make these moves. And we also need you to get these Consular Court Jury Questionnaires done and turned in. If they're not turned into Feds Province Regency, they have not been turned in. I repeat, if you have not turned your Consular Court Jury Questionnaire in to Feds Province Regency, it has not been turned in properly. Please make sure you check your notes, review, all that good stuff. If you haven't already, make sure you visit the website, join our email list. We are going to start doing more newsletters. Again, we're gonna, we've been forced to make changes, so a lot of stuff had to get put on the back burner. But we're back in action. I was scheduled to be in Jacksonville, but this is a class to help make up for that. We will be doing other classes and hopefully rescheduling to make that happen. And shouts out to all the Moors in that area of the territory of the Land of Flowers. Shouts out to everybody in Khalifa territory, everybody up in the Land of Nod, out in the Michigan area and territory, everybody in the city, in Mecca. And we're out of time. All right, peace and love. I'll see you guys later. Let's just close out with the prayer if we can. All right, so moving right along. Let's all stand, feet at a 45-degree angle, facing the east. You can repeat after me. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my God, and my salvation by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Ju Ali. Ameen. 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 So